Hi everybody, welcome to the channel for the tournament conclusion video about the Inter-Régions 2022. I'm going to talk in this video about the result, about my list, couple of impressions on the tournament and what's coming next, generally speaking, for me and on the channel, basically. Result, we managed to win it. This was a bit unexpected for us, but you see here the points added to the painting. So this is the battle points and this is the painting score, and basically we managed, thanks to our painting score, to climb the table and overcome some of the team that made slightly more points than us. As you can see, it was really close. We got 364, there was 367 from Paka, and here 368 even for Belgium 3. But as you can see, the difference in the notation, the valuation of the painting basically made a huge difference for us, and we managed to win it. So on one hand, it's a bit mixed feeling for me, because on one hand, we are not so happy about the performance as a team. It's not how we wanted to win it. Basically, we didn't face the team that finished second, didn't face the team that finished third, didn't face also the Belgium 3. We didn't face some of the best team basically on the way, and we still managed to win it. And on the other games that we had, basically we lost from 1 point against the team that finished 7, and then we won the other one 65, where we wanted to win more. So our performance wasn't top, not as good as we expected. So on this end, a bit disappointed. On the other hand, I must say it's also nice to see the painting score and all the effort that we made to have beautiful army helping us to win the Inter-Régions, which is the event that has the higher painting score of all tournaments that are available, which is also something nice to see that it plays such a role. It's nice for us to see that we were able to win thanks to that. So mixed feeling, like I said. But at the end, we managed to win it, and that was definitely still very positive for us, because that was our goal for this tournament. Regarding my list and my army, so I finished with a painting score of 15 out of 20, which I was really happy with. I think my army was appreciated from the judge. I think the fact that I have very visible conversion, and I think also the team of the army and the look on the table, I think helped me to get some point in comparison to other army that were maybe better painted than my army. But huge satisfaction, because I put some effort to get a good result. So quite happy about the overall look of the army and the painting score that I got. My usual unit analysis matrix. So as I always do, I put up top our score as a team. Then you have the score for my games. You have all the entry of my list, and then below what happened secondary objective, what estimation did I put in the software, and what is my feeling about my performance, and on the right some conclusion on the individual entry. So like you see, we capped 3 rounds. We lost 1, which is also the same round where I have some regrets, and then we won the last one 65, which is not far away from a draw. So not so awesome on these 2 rounds. Let's see about the individual entry. So Great Khan, I think, speaking about Combat Lord, I wouldn't field a Combat Lord if it wasn't for the need of having Leadership 9. I think in this list, having expensive Merc Vets, I definitely need Leadership 9. I don't want a Death Star to check on sometimes, Steadfast check on 8 and so on. So definitely Leadership 9, I think, is a must-have in an Ogre Khan army that has a high points unit, very often a Death Star. So I think it just auto-include because of the Leadership 9, not because it's a good combat character, because it can die in some duels. Like we saw, some duels are really too hard for him. We saw what happened against the Alpha Carnosaur, even with some buffs. Basically, it was way too hard for him. And then the last one, I was able to win some fight in a duel, but at the end, Didn't matter so much because of the static res that I brought with me. It was more the resilience aspect that was really important in this duel. The fact I didn't suffer too many wounds to help me compensate the static res, basically. So nothing crazy from the Great Khan, but it provides leadership 9 in the list, which is needed. The Khan BSB is basically, like I always say, the 7th Mercs, so very important what he had as a poison shooting to the list. Didn't miss Cult Leader at all because of the design of the list. Basically, I don't care to get reroll. I don't care too much to get reroll on single models. They are less sensitive to panic. So basically, Cult Leader wasn't needed here. I also noticed that he can die really easily in combat. We saw the only game where I had a fight with the Merc Vet was game 5, and basically, since he has no protection whatsoever, if my opponent is able to strike back, he's very likely to die. The Shaman got some very good spell mainly between Swarm of Insect, Totemic Summon. It's very decent range damage magic phase. Obviously, it's going to be different now that Totemic Summon got changed, but definitely it did a lot for me between Swarm of Insect and mainly Totemic Summon as well. So good magic phase that provided everything I need. I must say that I think Master Shamanism is still in a decent spot. It can definitely still provide everything an Ogre list needs. So nothing against that, even with the nerf on Totemic Summon. Scrappling, useful scoring, didn't fight at all. I didn't manage to use them in a great way, I think. Didn't manage to do what I wanted to do. Sometimes just move them forward to create situation where the opponent has to engage and then I can't countercharge. So I didn't manage to do anything from that. The two darts, like I always love this type of unit. They are very useful for my game. Basically, they can kill chaff, they can do a lot of things. Frenzy bait on the last game, they can do a lot of stuff basically, so very useful in the list. I would definitely keep at least 1 or 2 in my list. Merc Vets, as you can see, it's all green. They delivered when I expected them. As you can see, they always kill when there are monsters in the opponent's list. Basically, they just do a lot against this type of targets. They really delivered from distance. Sometimes hard to charge, as I saw, but that's I think always the case when you play this type of unit that are so versatile. Basically, they can do both. They are good from distance, good in close combat, and sometimes it's hard to make the right choice. Saber-Tooth Tiger, didn't manage to use him enough, and here I come back to a question I received on my channel, which is about the Saber-Tooth Tiger, whether or not it was a right choice, because the darts can also be decent chaff. And the fact that Saber-Tooth Tiger need to hide behind a unit, so moving all the way around, it's sometimes hard to chaff. And I agree on that, definitely. It's a valid point. I see the Saber-Tooth Tiger more as, I think, a second chaff, so to say. Very often I like to chaff first with a Tribesman Dart or Bruiser Dart that is higher up the field. And then once I'm on the table, then using the Saber-Tooth Tiger as a security to chaff something else if I manage to charge something to avoid a counter charge, or to chaff then in the second phase. So it's more the way I see the Saber-Tooth Tiger. The problem with it is it doesn't happen so often that I need to do that. Meaning I only use him as chaff on the last game because also of the lack of range damage. I was able to position him further forward and be able to chaff. No, maybe you saw in the spoiler that Saber-Tooth Tiger from 5 or more are going to be in core. I think this is going to open up option to field Saber-Tooth Tiger maybe from core. It's going to be an expensive unit, basically slightly more than 3 bruisers, so definitely quite expensive, but could be decent chaff from core. And we might maybe see a bit less from Lone Tiger in special. It's still very good chaff, still a cheap chaff, so I think it will still see some play, but always some frustration for me to see that I chaff quite rarely with the Saber-Tooth Tiger in my games, more often with some darts from core. My monsters, I must say regarding Frost Mammoth, when you take Frost Mammoth, you always think, okay, I have Merc Vets, if they charge, and they have Frost Mammoth, it's Agility 7, I go before Elves, and so on. But it's almost 2 years since I'm playing the combo of Merc Vets with Frost Mammoth, and I never managed to get this juicy combo once, so I think it's quite hard to put in place due to the fact that the Merc Vets also don't charge that far. I think it helps to maintain some standoff, definitely, but I didn't manage so much to get Frost Mammoth into position to get a key advantage. It's more helpful to maintain the standoff at some points, but didn't do as much as I expected. It's a flexible monster, died quite a lot. As you can see, 3 games out of 5, it died, despite some good scores, so definitely it died quite a lot, but still a very helpful monster, very flexible as well. My 3 giants, yeah, I love the combination of all of them. I think they were very easy to maneuver. They can die quickly, which is always the downside of giants. You already think 7 wounds, it takes a lot to kill. It's not the case. As long as you spam them a little bit, they can die really, really quickly. Like we saw, for example, in my game 3 or game 4 as well. They died really, really quickly. So that's always going to be a problem, but they can still do a lot. They can move really well. They can use impassable and abuse from some position. So I think as a cheap hunter or as an alternative to a hunter, I really love what they can provide. And they are somehow almost immune to panic, which is something very useful in an Ogre army that sometimes struggle a little bit with panic check. So I'm quite happy about how they feature in my game. Definitely the special power of the Marchek 18-inch is really a pain against some army. And against the Cauldron, a giant, definitely the option is good. I think it's probably the best one for Ogre Giant. It's coming from a supplement, so it's always a bit special, and you always have to be careful not to rely too much on them because they are not always allowed. They are harder to kill thanks to the regen. The breast weapon didn't do as much as I thought, and also the fact that you can reload, I wasn't able to abuse too much from that, I must say, not as much as I expected. But then the breast weapon was still really useful, more to clean up small things like skirmisher that are in the middle of the board, then you just move them, breast weapon, you go away, and so on. So that was still very useful from them. So yeah, that's it on all the entries. So I think the list was pretty good and performed quite well. What I can say on the individual game, so as you can see, I had positive matchups in 4 out of 5 games. So definitely the software was friendly with me, was nice with me, basically. Quite happy to get those matches, and I was able to get scores that went in the direction of my estimated score, basically. So managed to either do the same or slightly overcome that. The only game that I have some regrets is being the game of the second round where we lost by 1 point. So definitely something that matters as well. But like I mentioned in the battle report, I felt I was being too conservative, didn't take enough risk, and basically I lost some points here. You could say, yeah, that's definitely for me the type of game that is really interesting to get pictures of the game, because afterwards I could have said, if I had no pictures, I could have said, yeah, 13, I put estimation 14, went in the right direction, took almost no risk, won the game. Nice. You could say that's enough. But it's not the point. In team tournaments, it's really key to think about what is the maximum amount of point that I can get from the game without taking, I think, unnecessary risk. I think that's always going to be the key point. And you see in all my battles that I'm someone that is quite careful about the risk and risk management. I want to have stability in my result, and I think you can recognize that from most of my battle. So definitely I'm not saying that you should get 20 in all your battles. No, but with, I think, as less risk as needed, get as much point as possible from the matchup, from the opportunity that are created in the game. And here it's definitely a game where I felt I should have been able to do much more than 13. So definitely disappointed, and at the end it cost my team also some points. Fortunately for us, no damage done on the end result, but still something to take with me as a learning. Conclusion, yeah, huge thanks to the organizer. I think that was an amazing event, biggest 9th age event of the world, I think, from this year, also maybe in the history of the 9th age. So amazing event. Huge thanks to the organizer and the team. Happy ending for our team, despite not the top performance from us. I think, like I said, painting saved us. We performed decently, but expected to do much better. We didn't face the best team from the ranking. Also something that it's also a bit disappointing for us, because it could have been a good test for us to face some of the team like Paka, which is basically most guys coming from tier C. So there was some other very good team that we didn't face and would have been some good test. 3D Train, basically what they did is to make the table look really nice, because it's also very important for the hobby and for the event. They did an amazing job to make nice tables, but having sometimes only 3D Train make the gaming a bit more complicated. And personally, my preference would always be 2D mats and then on top 3D Train if available. I think that would be definitely the best solution, to have both the optimal gaming logistics, so to say, and on top of it some hobby improvement with 3D Train. I think would have been even better. So guys, that's all. Happy to finish my year on a good note. I will do a complete conclusion of the year with some numbers, like I like to do. I like to analyze a lot what I do about my games and what happened in the year and so on. I think it's helpful for me to always improve as a player, which is also something that I always keep in mind, as you know. So I hope you liked this number of battle report. It was a nice event. Happy to finish this way. And basically what's next will be an event close to Geneva at the end of January. We're going to be the team of 4. It's called Bellum Lacum. We managed to do 3rd last year, definitely trying to do more next year. And for me, like you saw after ETC, I play a little bit with more aggressive lists. Definitely something that I'm going to try to do again in the next couple of months, to tweak a little bit my list, being Ogre Khan or Infernal Dwarf, we'll see, but mainly thinking about Ogre Khan. Trying to tweak a little bit my list to make them a bit more aggressive, maybe not as extreme as what I did with Double Rock Wild Earth list, but something between, to encourage me to engage more in combat and to create more things in the game and be a bit more active. I'm really wanted to continue to train on that aspect of my game, and then we will see which direction I go a bit later, like towards, I think WTC is also on my calendar for next year, which will be in April, so we will see around that which direction I decide to go. In the meantime, very excited to see the new books, what they bring us, and see what kind of list we can do, and talk to you soon on the channel with new battle report of practice game. Bye bye guys.